Hey there, Danielle Matthews here. I'm coming to you live from Florida, and today is a really special day. If you're new to my content, just know I'm on a mission to help people that are on a healing journey to take their darkest moments and turn them into stepping stones for growth. And we meet every Monday to do book club. We are doing Dr. Wayne Dyer's work, The Power of Intention. Wayne has a lot of books, and Wayne Dyer was a very evolved soul, and his work is something that I've really enjoyed. Each chapter stands alone, so if you're just joining us, you can jump in exactly where we are. This chapter was chapter 13. It's completely focused on how to heal and how to be healed. So this is something that I think is really fascinating. You know, we have the healing potential within us, and so many of us miss it. We don't realize it. We think, I believe, because of how we're raised, because of the advertisements we see on TV, because of all the things that we're taught by the medical community, we miss this key piece that we actually have all we need within us to heal ourselves, and that we are connected with that. So for those of you in book club, let me know when you're here, and we can dive in. Again, if you're just joining, please enjoy this discussion. I'm going to just read a quote from the end because I think it really encapsulates what we talk about. This is actually a message from Jesus, and he quotes a lot from a lot of incredible spiritual teachers. But he says, if you bring forth what is inside you, what you bring forth will save you. If you don't bring forth what is inside you, what you don't bring forth will destroy you. And I just think this is so incredible to kind of tuck this away. Hey, Peg. Hey, Marie. Hey, Betsy. Tuck this away as we talk about everything in this chapter. We'll come back to it at the end because it's so profound. So he essentially says, you know, every single person on the planet has within them the potential to be a healer. This took me off guard. I don't know about you guys, Marie, Peg. I don't know if you were thinking that he was going to be speaking about you being a healer. I was more so thinking like how to heal my own body. And this idea that in order to heal others, that we actually all have the capacity to heal others. And that by healing yourself, you then become a conduit with which others will be healed. And that blew me away. He talked about A Course in Miracles, which, have any of you, I don't actually know what that is. He's talked about it so many times. In Vegas. Nice. Hey, Betsy. Is anyone familiar with A Course in Miracles? Put it in the chat. Tell me about it. Because I know very little, but he keeps quoting from it. The quote to kick off the chapter was, no one can ask another to be healed, but he can let himself be healed and thus offer the other what he has received. You can only give what you have. Who can bestow upon another what he does not have? And who can share what he denies himself? It's Marianne Williamson. Hey, I caught what you were putting down, Peg. Hey, Juliet. Yeah, A Course in Miracles, it seems amazing. So all that's quoted in here, he says the quote from A Course in Miracles that he pulled out again was, those who are healed become the instruments of healing. Isn't that amazing? So you think about, in my work, I've talked with, I don't know, hundreds, probably thousands of people. And everyone always says, I want to help. Like, I want to help others. I want to help others. I want to help others. There seems to be this internal drive within all of us. I mean, put a 3 in the chat if you have that driver. Like, you feel as though you want to help other people in your work, in your day-to-day. Like, that's something that you want. I know for me, it's a big driver. As soon as I got healed from my brain injury, I immediately wanted to help other people that were on, a healing journey. So Peg says 3. Yeah, that drives her. Leah says 3. Yep. I think this drives a lot of people. And it's interesting. It's like, if you want to help others, you have to help yourself. And, they always say, put your oxygen mask on first. It makes sense, but I didn't realize it on this level. Meaning, once you've accepted the power to heal yourself and optimize your own health, you become someone who is capable of healing others as well. Once you go through the healing process yourself, now you're in a position that you're really like a conduit to bring that healing through to other people. I mean, that's amazing. So Peg, Leah, Juliet, those of you that put a 3 in the chat that, you're motivated to help others, the best thing you can do is work on you. And as you work on you and as you work through your stuff and as you identify all the tricks of your ego mind that are getting in the way, this is something that once you've mastered that, you become an example. I just literally, 50 yards from me, today is we have Mother's Day, we have Father's Day, we have Guru Day here and where I live, and Guru Dev, who is my neighbor and an incredible guru, he was really saying the same things. Like, you spend your life putting the ego aside so you can show up. And the guru is just an example externally of what is internal. And I think it's so beautiful. Like, he says, look, the love you express to me, and Jesus said the same thing, me and my Father are one. And the same is within you. You are one with intention. And so when you express love to the guru, to Jesus, to, these people that have had this own healing of their own ego mind, realizing who they truly are, in doing that, you also start to acknowledge it within yourself. It's pretty beautiful. Pretty beautiful. So Marie says, no, I don't know about it, but I do believe in praying for others to be healed. God's will is for us to be healed. We can block it, but yes, we have to help ourselves first by our own belief. Yep. Jamie says, random acts of kindness are holy moments. Agreed. Absolutely agree. So how do you change the world? Well, you heal yourself. And healed people heal people. I don't know if Bob Simon is listening, but he has an incredible song, and that is the chorus of it. Hurt people, healed people, heal people. And Peg says, because we're all connected, as we heal others, we heal ourselves. Yeah, it's beautiful. The work you do on yourself emanates. So he says that, he was talking about in Power versus Force, if you guys have read that book, that, you can kind of calibrate people. And he said people that calibrated above 600, they really radiated. They had such a high energy that it just blew out the ability for disease to be in existence, which is crazy to me, but it makes sense, right? He's been talking about this constantly. Don't come to lower energy. If you hold a higher energy, it will blow out the lower energy, right? What does light do? It doesn't get a fight with darkness. It just turns on and darkness vanishes. So what he's saying here is, look, you can actually get yourself to the point, and there are people and examples that have done this in life where they have healed themselves to such a level and they're holding such a high vibration that just being in their presence, disease cannot exist. He says that, this explains the miraculous healing powers of people like the Jesus of Nazareth, St. Francis of Assisi, Ramana Maharshi. It's incredible. Like, when he puts it like this, you go, oh, makes sense, right? This is just a guiding principle. So it's wonderful. Leah says, experience in our healing gives us passion, and that is a connector, for sure. It absolutely, it humbles you, and it makes you way more compassionate. Hi, Gail. Hey, Charlotte. Glad you're joining. So he says, at the bottom, I'm on page 216, he says, energy medicine is the discipline of the future and relies on the ancient spiritual practice of being the change, or healing others by first healing ourselves, right? Be the change you want to see in the world. You have to do it within in order for it to happen externally. And I was at a Bruce Lipton event, and he was showing video of a place somewhere in Asia where, people can go to get healed, and it's through energy medicine. It's through people holding the intention for like a tumor. I think this tumor was in the woman's stomach. It was somewhere in the abdomen. Big tumor. You could see it. And they had it like up on ultrasound. And this woman had to prep herself. Like, you have to eat a certain diet. You have to get into you have to be very clean. But these, I'm going to call them monks. I don't think they're monks, but types of doctors. Anyway, they are constantly praying, and they're holding a very high space. And you can actually see on video, they all collectively set the intention for that tumor to turn into healthy tissue. And you watch it dissolve. You watch it just disappear on video. It's phenomenal. I'm sure it's on YouTube. I'm sure somebody can find it and put it in the comments. But this is something that, Bruce was talking about. He talks about the same things. It's like the power of intention and that frequency. It's absolutely phenomenal. Lou says, tuning fork vibrates when near a similar vibration. Yeah, it's all energy. You start to see it, right? You can shatter a glass by going at a certain vibration, and it'll go. I was watching something with Nikola Tesla, And he had some machine, that he could make buildings shake because he just turned it to a certain frequency that was the frequency of the iron or the steel or whatever the building was, and it would make it shake. People thought they had an earthquake. Peg says, that is an amazing video. That tumor just disappears in front of your eyes. Yeah, you've seen it too. Okay. Guys, go watch the video. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. All right, what else did he have to say here? He says, becoming the healing. Reconnect to the disease-free, loving perfection from which you came. Resistance to the healing energy that's available. When you're engulfed in the story of your illness, how many of you have ever met somebody and all of a sudden, they're like telling you all of their ailments. They're telling you all of these things. I met a woman and all she ever wanted to talk about was the number of surgeries that she's had and all the abuses she's gone through and all the intense things. And I mean, it's a lot. But it was like every conversation, it kept coming up. How many of you have met somebody like this where it's like they're so patterned into their disability that it's like their energy, which they don't realize they're doing this, they're continuing to create that pattern. They're never going to get out of it. Surgery after surgery after surgery is happening. This woman's had over 100 surgeries. Yeah, Leah says, lots of them out there, they own their disease. Yuck. Yeah, he's talking about meeting this guy on the treadmill and how he was basically wallowing in his disabilities, almost wearing them like a badge of honor. Focusing, so much of the inner focus was on disorder, it was on disharmony, it was on dis-ease. Juliet says, yes, all the time I run into this. Yeah, there's lots of that out there. And the thing is, people don't know. They're not aware that they're perpetuating the cycle and that they're creating more and more of their dis-ease and their disability and the disharmony, And what Wayne is saying in the book is he's saying basically all you need to do is get rid of the mind that's having that mumbo jumbo talk and just reconnect with who you truly are. But these thoughts get in the way, and be honest with yourself if you've had these thoughts. Before I say this, Peg says many people have their disability as an identity. Yeah, lots of people do that, and I know a few people like that. I stay away at times. Yeah, it can be a lot to kind of get into that. Whoa. Juliet says, yeah, it's their identity. Power of life is in the tongue. Well said, Leah. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, I had my brain injury for a couple of years, and I remember coming out of it that for, so many years it had been my world. Going to specialists, going to support groups, doing everything, that it was like, well, who am I if I'm not brain injured anymore? And it was an interesting identity shift for me. And so I could see how someone could so easily fall into, well, this is me and this is who I am. Or like that woman I met, it's all about it's all about the surgeries in the past and all this stuff. And it's like, hey, in the present moment, I'm looking at a healthy individual. So why are we running this same narrative? Because we're just going to create more. There's going to be some issue to go back in for surgery, etc. But be honest with yourselves. How many of you have ever thought, I don't believe that this is possible. I don't believe that I could be spontaneously healed. I don't believe that there's some force that could come in and heal me. You can put a 1 in the chat if you've ever had that thought. How many of you have ever said to yourself, I believe it's possible, but it's not possible for me? It might be possible for somebody else. I believe that it's happened. I believe that lady's tumor spontaneously went away, but that would never happen for me. How many of you have ever thought, you know what, I'm being punished? Maybe I did something in my past life. Maybe I did something earlier in this lifetime. Maybe, I was ignorant of something and I acted in a certain way and I hurt people, and now karma is a you-know-what, and it's come back for me. How many have ever felt that? Just put a 1 in the chat. Leah? When he had these questions, I was like, oh, shoot. I've thought this before. Leah also says, it is very easy to be identified by what is happening to us, a victim mentality. I've been there myself. Yeah, I think we've all cycled into that. So what Wayne Dyer is saying with all these questions that I put out there is that, these inner thoughts about your ability to be healed, they play a really dominant role. And you're creating resistance if you're having these thought patterns that we were just discussing. Yeah, I think it's so funny. I think some people are delayed. They must have come onto the live late and they're like a couple minutes behind us. Anyway, technology. All right, he gets into healing others by healing yourself. And he talks about from, who's read The Field? Lynn McTaggart's book, The Field. I have it on audio. It's intense. I was listening to it while I was driving. The UN method is delete main and stress on the spot. Nice. I want to see what happens where someone gets healed instantly and see it. Yeah, you can look it up. I'm pretty sure it's probably on YouTube. All right, this was really interesting. This was research that's being done about like spontaneous healing. So the stuff like the tumor lady. I'll just kind of go over this high level. He says, number one, healing through intention is available to ordinary people. So first of all, realize that. You don't have to be special to get healed this way. Healers may be more experienced or naturally talented in tapping into the field. So there are people that we all know and probably have run into that you're like, they're special. No, they just have kind of tuned this a little bit better. It's kind of like, you know, my boyfriend can speak Spanish. I can't. Well, he tuned that better than I did. He says health and peace are the natural state when that which prevents them is removed. So you need to realize any disease process is evidence that there's something amiss. Something in your thought patterns, something in your belief system is causing you to kind of deviate from the natural blueprint. Second thing is that most authentic healers claim to have put out their intention and then step back and surrender to some kind of healing force as though they were opening a door and allowing something greater in. The life force itself is what does the healing. This is really interesting. And this is where I think, you know, medically trained professionals often do the opposite. And this is what I was getting to at the beginning of the live. Medically trained professionals often do the opposite of allowing and uplifting. They frequently convey the message that the medicine does the healing. You're going to take this pill and it will heal you. Not your body. Your body can't heal yourself. You got to take this pill. And they communicate disbelief in anything other than their prescribed procedures. I was just with an incredible urologist this weekend. He's in his 70s. And he was saying, Danielle, like, we're taught how to cut, we're taught how to prescribe, we're taught chemo, we're taught radiation. This is what we're taught. And so this is what we do. He said, the reason I do other things is because I read. I read and I educate myself about these other options. Yes, Bruce Lipton calls it BS. Faith in source. Yes, yes, yes. Patients often feel anything but uplifted and hopeful, and diagnoses and prognoses are usually fear-based and exclusively pessimistic because they want to avoid legal proceedings. As if you start to unpack why things are the way they are, you go, holy cow. So they tell them the worst and they hope for the best. And this is sort of the philosophy. And what Wayne is saying is no, actually, the research shows that every single person can heal themselves. They just have to connect in. So he's number 3, it didn't seem to matter what method was used so long as the healer held the intention for the patient to heal. There's so many different modalities. I mean, what's coming in the chat, the UN method. There's so many different modalities and they all get to this center core truth. It's all going right to, you know, the same target, right to the same thing where it's like, yes, this method will take you in. This method will take you in. This idea set, this person's way of talking about it. But we're all getting at the single core truth, which is that you are connected to the divine. You have the divine within. And when you hook up with that and you get the mind out of the way and this mistaken identity that we have as the ego, everything opens up. All right, number 4, he says, research suggests that intention on its own heals, but that healing is a collective memory of a healing spirit, which can be gathered as a medicinal force. This is why, as Marie said, I believe in the power of prayer. Yeah, and when you can get a whole community, a whole church praying for someone, it makes a difference. I don't remember what the name of the movie, but there's that kid that gets like, he falls in the ice and he's underwater for a super long time. Super long. We're talking like 45 minutes or something crazy. Like he's gone. And his mom and everybody in the town is praying. His mom's praying over this boy's body and he comes back to life. This is a true story. They made a movie about it, but true story. This is the power of prayer. Leah says, yes, where there is no hope, the soul dries up. I have been there for over 30 years and every time I come out of the mental process of wrong thinking, hope explodes. Yes. Well said, well put. Coming out of the mental process of wrong thinking. I love that. Yeah, we get caught up in our mind. The ego is super tricky. Super, super tricky. And it sneaks in and makes us like think these crazy thoughts. Gotta let it go. And then when you connect in, it's like, oh yeah, there's this flow here that's just waiting for me. All right, the 5th thing, the most important treatment any healer can offer is hope. for the health and well-being of those who suffer disease or trauma. A knowing that connection to one source is a connection to the source of all healing. When we live this way, we always see hope. You know, I had a chiropractor that on his, like where you check out, you know, and you pay, there were what would be like business cards, but it was just this beautiful scenery, and it said, expect a miracle. And I remember looking at those cards and being so angry. Because here I am, I've been hit by a drunk driver, you know, I'm having this brain injury, I can't live my life, I'm having to come in to see him and so many other professionals, and he has the audacity to tell me to expect a miracle. I'm like, expect a miracle? I didn't expect to get hit, like this is ridiculous. I was in such a place where I couldn't even understand that, you know, I was so in my ego, so in the fear, in the resentment, in the everything, that I couldn't even understand that there was the ability to expect a miracle. And when you are in the vibration of expecting a miracle, knowing that, you know, I am pure health, why would I be anything else? That's the way it was divinely guided and designed, that it could happen. I don't know if anyone, that's like I had resistance. So that healing wasn't spontaneously happening. No miracle was coming. And you let go of that resistance, all of a sudden you can see how this can open up. I don't know if anyone has had experiences like that. I'd love to hear them in the chat. But when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like that card. And now I'm that person that's like, well, you should expect a miracle. Like, why would you expect anything but a miracle? Like, you can be healed like this. Let's do it. Get the mind away. Let's go. You know, I use a modality now called yoga therapy that just asks the mind to step aside so that the energy body, the prana, the power of intention, the divine within can work through and heal. And I've seen amazing things. I've done amazing things. Happy to do a session with any of you. It's absolutely incredible. So Peg says, so blessed to be in this philosophy every Sunday. Yes, Mile High Church does great stuff. Charlotte says, I always wanted to know how to heal, but didn't know before. Yeah, this is like a how-to guide. Very helpful. All right. From thoughts of sickness to intentions of wellness. I thought this was interesting. This is a quote from the Old Testament. And God intended, let there be light. And there was light. This intention, this creation, this like, I intended to be so and so it is. Like, this is the example. This is in plain English, quick, powerful sentence. God intended, let there be light, and there was light. You are that. Intend for health and there will be health. You just cannot have anything out there that thinks differently. Leah says, I was a quadriplegic and was delivered overnight after a car accident, and I broke my neck in 2 places. Oh, wow. I don't think I knew that story, Leah. Lou says, yes, separate body, mind, and spirit. Mm-hmm. All right. Have you ever had any of these thoughts, though? This is what jumps in that gets in the way of you creating your healing. Oh, it's just flu season. Like, of course I'm going to pick it up. I feel okay now, but by the weekend, this is going to be in my chest and I'm going to have a fever, right? You're like creating it before it's arrived. We live in a carcinogenic world. I'm surrounded by toxins. Of course, I'm full of toxicity. Everything is either fattening or filled with chemicals. I feel so tired all the time, right? These are the thoughts that are getting in the way of your pure, healthy, healed body. And he says, notice the thoughts that represent a decision on your part to buy into the illness mentality that is a huge profit-making drug companies and healthcare industry that thrives on this fear. I wish that I could wake everyone up to the fact, like, it is ridiculous the number of commercials we see about drugs. You know, we're one of like 2 countries in the world that allows that. It's wild. It is wild that it is allowed. And I mean, there's a whole lot of reasons why. You know, pharma has basically bought their way into everything. But so the programming that's happening, literally the programs on the TV, are programming us to think, I need something external to heal me. I need to take something in order to get there. When the reality is, no, you have it within you. You have it within you. And now sometimes it's so far off. Yeah, there's external things that can help the physical body. But when you connect in with this spirit force, it's more powerful than anything. Leah says, speaking illness into our bodies. Ugh, yeah, we accidentally do that all the time. We've got to reverse the programming. And the bottom of 223, I thought explained how to do that beautifully. Juliet says, the key is catching the thought. I am statements are very powerful. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we invented another season, the flu season. Well said, Lou. Yeah, absurd, Peg is saying about pharma. It is absurd. It is absolutely absurd. So to reverse the program, he says, don't you remember you are the divine? You're a piece of the universal mind of intention, and you don't have to think in these ways. You can opt to think that you have the ability to raise your energy level, even if all of the advertising around you points to a different conclusion. You can go within and hold an intention that says, I want to feel good. I intend to feel good. I intend to return to my source, and I refuse to allow any other thoughts of disorder or dis-ease in. This is the beginning. You'll feel empowered by this unique experience. Then, in any given moment of not feeling well, choose the thoughts of healing and feeling good. In that instant, feeling good takes over, if only for a few seconds. And then it's the repeating of that activity, coming back to it again and again and again and again. That's all you have to do. Like, it's so simple. I think our mind complicates it. I need to go to this specialist, do this thing, blah, 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 external world we're seeking, not realizing, holy cow, if I quiet my mind, I can get into this. And you know, I thought it was interesting in the next piece. Wow, we're cruising through time today. But the next piece, he talks about how illness is not a punishment. The source of all life does not punish. It's not offering karmic paybacks. It's not making you suffer. It's not bringing you a hardship because of past issues. He's basically saying, just because you were bad or ignorant or, did something before, there's no retribution. You've taken on whatever experience, whatever it is that you're experiencing, whatever level of health, whatever it is, for whatever lesson you need to learn on this journey. It's being orchestrated by the all-providing intelligence that we're calling intention. So there is some lesson to be learned in whatever has arrived in your life. This is huge and it's empowering. Think of it as a gift from God, as a gift from the divine in a weird package. But you got to open it to figure out, why is it here? What am I supposed to be learning? What was I maybe taking for granted that I need to not take for granted anymore? What do I need to be doing that I'm not doing? What direction was my life going that, was not healthy? Peg says, separation from the source is the cause of all illness. Yeah, we just sever it. Like, it's just streaming through us and we're like, gonna ignore that. It's wild. It's wild when you put it this way. So he goes through, and like always, he gives us the steps, right? The steps we need to apply this, which were profound. Step 1, you can't heal anyone until you allow yourself to be healed. So again, remembering that when you go through this process yourself, you're now in a position to be able to help other people, which I think is huge. I think it's absolutely huge. Marie says, I have learned to not let people speak things over me and rebuke it when they do. We have learned so much that, as the Bible says, we speak life and death over us or others. I want life. Yeah, absolutely. Your words create your reality for yourself, and it is really, the internal words make a big difference too. All right, step 2, the healing energy that you are connected to at all times is what you have to give away to others, which is beautiful. He talks about St. Francis of Assisi and how he was just the conduit for this. Step 3, by raising your energy to a vibrational match with the field of intention, you're strengthening your immune system and increasing the production of well-being enzymes in the brain. Well, how do you like that? It does well for our physiology. He says to practice surrender. Let go and let God should be just the anthem of your life. Step 5, don't ask to be healed, ask to be restored to that perfection from which you emanated. Come to the source as whole and complete, banish all thoughts of illness, and know that by connecting back to this source, filling yourself with it, and offering it to others, you become healing itself. Incredible. Step 6, know that you are adored. I like that. Know that you are adored. And when you're experiencing sickness or bad feelings, just remember that you are adored. Step 7 is seek out and cherish the silence. Nature is healing. It is healing for me. It's healing for so many. Being in the silence is key. Absolutely key. It's a very powerful vibration. He says silence is the only voice of our God. When we are quiet, God can speak. It's that silence. It will restore everything. It pulls you to a higher vibration. Step 8, to be health, you must totally identify with the wholeness that you are. Immerse yourself in the idea of being absolutely pure well-being. Step 9, allow health to stream into your life. Any thoughts out of sync with the 7 phases of intention are resistant thoughts. Banish them. All right, and just focus on those 7 faces. And then the last one, of course, is always gratitude. And I loved this. He said, just look in the mirror at least once every day and give thanks that your heart continues to beat. Be grateful for that the organs are working, that everything is communicating. Express gratitude for what you have. Leah says, it is a still small voice of the Holy Spirit. Yeah. And I'm going to this quote again at the end. One of the messages of Jesus of Nazareth, he says, is apropos of all that I have discussed and presented in this chapter. If you bring forth what is inside you, what you bring forth will save you. What he's saying is, if you bring forth this connection, your source, the divine, the intention, it will save you. If you don't bring it forth, what you don't bring forth will destroy you. Because if you don't bring it forth, then destruction happens. Marie says, so one of my friends sent me the book, The Magic by Rhonda Byron. That is a 28-day workbook about gratitude and saying thank you and changing your thoughts in life. And it lines up with this book club. So good. Nice. Great resource for people. Well, guys, that was this chapter. Phenomenal. Next is chapter 14. It is my intention to appreciate and express the genius that I am. So that is going to be what we read next time. I hope this was powerful. I appreciate all of you for coming. I know tomorrow is a big holiday and many took today off. So hopefully you enjoyed. I look forward to talking with you. Keep chatting in Telegram. Juliet, thank you for the japa meditation. Did anyone do it? I did it last night. Put me right out. The space between the words. Go to the gap. Yeah, absolutely love it. Very powerful. All right. Have a wonderful 4th of July. Lots of love, everybody.